after the after the eastern sector segment or the eastern segment or the eastern sector, right, we will be going with the western segment, right. That western segment is occupied by the Ladakh, right, and the area which is occupied by China is called as the Aksai Chin, right, and around 37,555 square kilometers of area is being occupied by China, right. And regarding the occupation of this land, lots of theories are there, right, and also like India has to be put into the the trap here, because whatever Indian administration has done at that time, right, that was not good, because China and India are the two entities which got the independence nearly at the same time, right, and the boundary line which was drawn between India and China by the Britishers, right, that was not taken in a good sense by China, and China already several times have written the letter to Indian administration stating that we are not satisfied with the boundary line whatever we are having, right, let us sit across the table and discuss the disputes and let us amicably solve the disputes. But what happened? Our Indian administration has not given any response to the letters from the Chinese administration, okay. And during that, what happened? And the Panchsheel which has been written by India, guys, right, the Panchsheel, right, it is with the Chinese government only, right, to respect the mutual respect to the neighboring countries, non-interference in the internal affairs, etc. That actually was written, that was the agreement which was actually written with China, okay, because we are the two biggest of the countries who are recently got independent, right. So what happened? Meanwhile, when we are friends, generally I am talking about two friends, right, when enemy of your friend comes to you, will you help him? No. There is the same thing which happened with India, guys, right. Dalai Lama was considered as a fugitive by the Chinese government, right, and Dalai Lama fled China and entered into India, right. So when he entered into India, what should be the response of the Indian administration, right? Simply they should ask the Dalai Lama to move away from country if they are not interested to hand him over to the Chinese entities, right. So simply they have to ask him to move away, go away from our country, because we don't want to have enmity with the neighboring country, the China. But instead of that, what the administration of India has done, right, they have not only taken the Dalai Lama into the country, right, and they have given the political asylum, okay. He was not a refugee, right, he has been given political asylum. Political asylum means the asylum, generally asylum is given to give the protection for his life, guys, okay. That angered Chinese. They said that you always say that we are all good friends and all, right, but my enemy, when he entered into your country, you have not given the perfect response to our demands. From there onwards, the China and India have started their the small skirmishes, right. There is a reason because of which the India-China war has taken place in 1962, and Chinese forces have entered India in that Aksai Chin area, and they have occupied 37,555 square kilometers of the total area, guys, okay. Yeah, next comes the middle sector or the central segment, right. There around 2,000 square kilometers of area in Uttarakhand has been occupied by Chinese entities, okay. So the Indian government wants to discuss the disputes with China, right, and Indian government want to discuss the disputes by segment wise, okay. So they want to discuss the dispute segment wise, right, and the Chinese government wants to discuss all the segments or the total border disputes on the table. So what is the difference between on the table all the disputes and segment wise discussions. Right. So the segment wise discussions India wants to initiate with western segment, that is the Ladakh. Okay. So India want to discuss the disputes related to the Aksai Chin and the occupation of Chinese forces there. Okay. So when it comes, Indian government is having the proofs of the agreement between the Tibetan kings and the king of Ladakh from 16th or 17th century onwards. So when that boundary line is shown, so there won't be any dispute. So the Chinese government has to budge the request and it has to give the western segment. Right? And regarding the central segment, Chinese government simply ventured into India. It does not want to have any strategic significance over that Uttarakhand area. Okay, so there also the Chinese government may move off very easily. But when it comes to Arunachal Pradesh, the Chinese government may claim it. Even now also the Chinese government is willing to get the total of Arunachal Pradesh, and it is saying that you give us the Arunachal Pradesh and take off Ladakh and the central segment. But we are not willing for that, because we are having the proofs of the boundary lines between the entities, Indian kings and the Tibetan emperors and their kings, guys. Okay, that is the reason because of which we are having some disputes with China. Okay, next comes the Pakistan, guys. Okay, so the boundary line between India and Pakistan is called as the Radcliffe line. Okay, the boundary line between India and Pakistan is called as the Radcliffe line. Okay, and we know that the independence of India and Pakistan, right, was on August 14th and 15th respectively. Okay, India got 15th and Pakistan got on 14th of August, right. But the boundary line, that is the Radcliffe line, was revealed to the public on 17th of August. Okay, it was revealed to the public on 17th of August, right. And you know, like after the revelation also, lots of problems have occurred. And let me tell you one thing, Sir Radcliffe was not the first person to draw the line. He reiterated the line which is already present, right, and that line was already drawn by Lord Wavell. Lord Wavell, during his tenure, he has drawn the line, because the demand for a separate Muslim entity was very old. So Lord Wavell has already drawn a line, right, and that line was reiterated by Sir Radcliffe. That is the reason because of which we will be calling it as a Radcliffe line, guys, right. So this Radcliffe line, or the boundary between India and the Pakistan, is the most disputed boundary in the world. Okay, so what happened? Why there is a dispute between India and Pakistan related to the Kashmir entity, right? At the time of independence, we know that some of the states wanted to remain independent. Okay, and among that the state of Jammu and Kashmir, because it was ruled by a Hindu king and the population of that kingdom was dominated by the Muslims. Okay, but you know, the Muslims of Kashmir, right, till 1970s they were telling that ours is not Islam of the world, ours is Kashmiriyat. Okay, Kashmiriyat means we will be respecting to the Hindu gods or Hindu entities, because the Hindu dynasty which was ruling the Kashmir part of our India, that was ruling from past 400 years. You can imagine, guys, 400 years a Hindu kings and their families ruling the Muslim dominated region. So automatically they were having lots of respect for each other's religious beliefs. That is the reason because of which they never thought of going against their king. There is the same thing happened in there is a thing because of which the Raja of Kashmir never wanted to get aligned with both the Pakistan or India. He wanted to remain independent. So what happened? Once he declared independence and he said that I am not getting aligned with Pakistan or India. right? The Pakistan, like if you look at Srinagar and all, okay, these are the areas, right? They are close to Islamabad. Okay, so all the day-to-day commodities into these areas will be coming from Islamabad, guys. Okay, so what happened? Daily the porters from these areas of Kashmir used to go and fetch the day-to-day commodities towards their side, because the Jammu is here, and the Jammu and Srinagar, even now also, like recently we have had the good transportation arteries developed. Think of the 50 years and 70 years back, guys. There was no perfect transportation developed, right? Even till last before year, before the Banial tunnel was opened, right? The highway which is connecting Srinagar and Jammu will be completely inundated by the snow, and there won't be any traffic movement along this route for 3 to 4 months. So what they'll be doing, what the people of these areas will be doing, right? They'll be getting the commodities from Pakistan, because it is very close. Islamabad is very close, and the Pakistan is having good connectivity here, rather than from Indian side, because all these areas are full of mountains. So the people's access from this side is very good, guys. So the porter used to go to Islamabad or towards the Pakistan, and they used to fetch the day-to-day commodities. So during that, what happened? Whenever these people are going this side, the Pakistani forces were present on the borders of the then Jammu and Kashmir. They used to instigate the people, saying that you wage the war against your king because he is a Hindu. But the people of these areas, the Muslim peoples of Jammu and Kashmir, they said, we will never wage the war against our king. We will die for him, but we will never wage the war against him. So what happened? They started pressurizing the people. The Pakistani fellows started pressurizing the people of Jammu and Kashmir to wage the war. But lately what happened, when our people, the Kashmiri people, have not listened to them, they started stopping the commodities entry into these areas. So automatically, when the commodities are being stopped, day-to-day commodities are being stopped, right, the young, the children and the old people, they started suffering. So the deaths have started increasing in these areas because of non-availability of the day-to-day commodities. So there was no other go for the people residing in these areas. There was no any other go. That is the reason because of which they said, okay, we are ready to wage the war against our king, because the kids and the old people were dying here. So they cannot see their own people dying. That is the reason because of which they said, okay, we are ready to wage the war against our king. That is the reason because of which what happened on 22nd October. Okay, the 22nd October, the Pakistani forces entered into Kashmir, guys. On 22nd October, Pakistani forces entered into Kashmir, right? And on 22nd October, guys, okay, Pakistani forces entered, and on 23rd, right, the king, he flew to Delhi to meet the Indian administrators on 23rd. Okay, and when he flew to Delhi, the people who are residing here, right, the people who are in the highest positions, these fellows have not given, right, appointment to the Raja on 23rd. They gave appointment on 24th, guys. They gave the appointment on 24th, and the cordial appointment, cordial talking, right? And on 25th they have discussed what actually should be done. And at that time,